I just thought I would share with you some of the reflections and insights that I've had over the last few days with that solar eclipse that was conjunct the goddesses Hygeia, the goddess of health, and Juno, the goddess of wife or the archetype of the wife and mother, and how this has played out. Now, for myself, I got a virus, so, that was my body saying, okay, you need to process some stuff. So, yeah, I've been in my bunker for the last 3 days, and 3 days is often, a shamanic process will often go in a period of 3 days or, 3, 6 or 9. Like I used to find when I was younger, I would have depressions that would go for 9 months. And that sequence of 3, 6, 9 is considered a very sacred sequence. It represents the Trinity of 3, but it allows for the 3 parts that it takes to break down, to be in the void, and then be reborn. So whether you take 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, the older we get, the more medicine tools that we've gathered. So we're able to midwife ourselves through an inner descent more quickly. So rather than something taking 3 months, you can shift it in 3 days. So where I've been in my, head cold virus that I played out physically was the realization that my body was releasing. It was the grief of what I had journeyed in my chapter as a wife and a mother. And I think, this is kind of like a taboo to even speak about, but that, I've joked to friends, I've had PTSD from my chapter as a wife and mother. And really, when you think about it, the legacy of 5,000 years of patriarchy is that most of the brothers are so fragile within their own psyche that they're not able to really be an emotional support for women. And so, taking on the responsibility for nurturing others 24/7 on top of your own unhealed issues, really it cracks us open, And so the insight came to me that in our childhood, we often, that's where the wounding takes place, okay? And it's not random, we put our hands up for those soul lessons. But then in the next phase, in the phase of wife and mother, and that's, regardless of how you do it, I'm not just referring to heterosexuals that have biological children, yeah? We all partner up, most of us partner up, most of us nurture something, someone, even a project. So we all journey through those phases. But in that second phase, we often reenact the wound. So we are karmically attracted to somebody who is going to re-wound us in the way that we were wounded in childhood. But this time, we are complicit. We're also part of the wounding. And, this is, I think, why there's often that intensity, because there's that soul recognition of, whoa, we've got work to do. We're going to wound each other and then try and heal that. So, these are the sort of the karmic attractions where it's so magnetic. Because there is a very strong soul contract, and this person often feels like home. So they are going to reenact some of the behaviors that were done in our, home of origin growing up. So, yeah, there's a sense of feeling at home with these people. But so in the wife and mother phase, the equivalent for men would be, the husband and father stage. This is when we have the opportunity to see how we create the wound ourselves through taking on the expectations, the limited thinking, the conditioned beliefs that we took on in childhood, and how we then replay that and re-wound ourselves. Now, we might do that with multiple partners, yeah, keep redoing the same old pattern, like Groundhog Day. But the thing is, in that middle phase, the gift in that is we can journey the wound with awareness. So we have the adult perspective, which helps the inner child to heal, because we can see it from a bigger, more mature understanding. Then the next phase of our lives, which is the mage, or the magus for women, the enchantress, or the magi for men. This is when we have the opportunity to awaken the magician. That's what a magi or a magus is. It's somebody who takes back their conscious creative power to not create unconsciously the past again from wound, from unhealed wound, but to take full responsibility for healing themselves, so that we can then consciously create from love, from self-love. And I feel that this eclipse, you know, has been an opportunity for us to reflect on, okay, where do I need to take my power back so I'm not re-wounding myself, I'm not recreating the same set of circumstances, the same choices that will result in, you know, trauma being compounded. So the other reflection that I had was, I shared a post on my Moon Woman page last night, and it was a beautiful post. It was a post that a dear sister of mine shared with me about, there was a pregnant woman with a toddler in an airport at, well, it was LAX, Los Angeles, and her son was throwing a tantrum and would not get on the plane. And she just melted over as you do. Now, I'd like to just point out one thing. A pregnant woman is experiencing PMT, that's premenstrual tension, times 36 in one day of being pregnant. Okay, that's how much hormonal activity is surging through her system. Okay, what a non-pregnant woman goes through in 3 years is what a pregnant woman experiences in one day. Okay, so it is not just understandable, but it is absolutely normal behavior for a pregnant woman to burst into tears. Okay, not over anything large, but just over the amount of hormonal activity surging through it. It is a shamanic journey, pregnancy. Yeah, from the patriarchal perspective, it's seen as something, oh, you know, she's pregnant, oh, she's got a bit of morning sickness. Well, depending on your mother issues and how much fear there is, yeah, it can be a very steep descent, not even, you know, looking at the hormonal issue. So this woman is not coping, and a bunch of women gather around her that have never met her, but are compelled to, from their hearts, to start attending to her needs and her son's needs to help get her on the plane. And the blog, the post, was written by one of those women once she got on the plane, you know, and she was still moved, teared up by the experience. And what was so beautiful for me in reading that was, you know, elephants are matriarchal, meaning that they look to the feminine leader of the pack, and they protect their young by forming a circle around them. They also do incredible burial rites where they form a circle around the bones and they weep tears. But the power of circle, so for these women to gather in circle, it's an instinct. Yeah, it's an instinct when we're in our hearts. That's when we're motivated by sisterhood. So this for me is a sign that women's circles, you know, are returning in so many different ways, like spontaneously like that, you know, a pop-up circle. And that is how we are going to heal this planet, you know, whether you're you know, gathering with other women and sending love to all of those families in the community that have been affected by this shooting, sending strength to those wonderful high school students that are planning to take right action by standing up to the so-say powers that be and saying, no, this is not okay. We need, you know, we need adequate protection. We need our laws to say no guns. So I was saddened to see that one of the responses, well, the first response to that post was a woman who compared herself to that mum and said, you know, oh, I've never had a meltdown. I've got 2 boys. And and then, you know, women got on and defended the mum and, you know, you can imagine. So the point being, women who don't gather in circle on a regular basis unwittingly compare themselves constantly to other women. And they do it to bolster their own self-esteem, their own identity that, oh, I'm a good mother, or I'm a good wife, or I have a lovely body, or I'm a good student, I'm a good whatever, yeah? If we are not anchoring a practice of sisterhood on a regular basis, and by that I mean sitting in circle and, you know, actively showing your vulnerabilities, being transparent, not trying to compete with one another. When we drop our armor, when we allow other women to really see us raw in our truth, we're safe to approach. Yeah, we're not bitchy, catty, gossipy, yeah, putting on this veneer of mean girl, okay? That right there is what needs to occur for us to not have, you know, those sort of interchanges where women who have never even met each other are attacking each other on social media. Now, social media at its absolute core is a gift and it's a tool. Yeah, we are weaving together a new cultural landscape. What do women do? How do we find our power? We weave our strengths together. We've been given this tool. You know, the Native Americans speak of the creatress as great-grandmother spider, she who weaves the web of creation. And right now we have this gift, the web, you know, to weave together our strengths. So let's not pull the strands apart by tearing each other down. Yeah, let's build each other up by affirming what we have in common, and whether that's our strengths, whether that's our vulnerabilities, but through that identification of I am you. Yeah, there really is no separation. We will heal the wounding that has been done by women to women, so that is not a legacy our daughters, our granddaughters, our nieces ever have to endure. So if you want more info about that, I posted a free Red Tent webinar. So that's a presentation that goes for an hour and a half, where I speak in depth about this, because I watched a film last night. What was it called? Love, Peace and Misunderstandings or something. Anyway, oh my God. I rated it because I went, oh, wow, they showed a women's circle for a minute. I went, that looks interesting. Yeah, I should have known. Bloody Hollywood. The women's circle they portrayed as women playing drinking games around a fire, women that were unstable, unbalanced, cuckoo, into woo-woo, and all they did that was in any way honouring of the moon was a song, but it was a drunken ramble around a bonfire. And I just, you know, and they were all portrayed as pot smokers and just, you know, people that weren't grounded. And someone said to me the other day, oh, that woman's really spiritual. And I had to disagree. The person in question is not grounded. You know, she's anorexic, so she's not eating. She drinks coffee all day and she just talks about esoteric stuff, but being spiritual means embodying the spiritual realm in form. Yeah, it's about living it. So not disconnecting. So whether that's disconnecting with alcohol, pot, you know, or just not eating enough so that you're not physically here. And there's, you know, I don't mean to be judgmental. I mean, it obviously comes from trauma, you know. And I speak about that in my, well, I did in my Goddess Wisdom tour about, and being here in Bali, my gosh, the number of beautiful women that have eating disorders where it's just so apparent, it's just huge. It breaks my heart, because in my heart of hearts, it's I know it's a rejection of the feminine, often for fear that they're going to be taken advantage of, that they're going to attract perpetrators if they have breasts, if they don't look like a child, you know. And so a lot of women that have these eating disorders are women that haven't developed the ability to speak their truth, to set boundaries, and to understand what it is to be in your feminine power so that you can embrace it fully. So anyway, that's got on a bit of a rant there, didn't I? And I'm late for an appointment, so I better run. Thanks for listening. Anyway, lovely to have those of you here that join me live. If you're listening after the fact, feel free to put your comments down below. Yeah, and let's just send our prayers to all the sisters that are grappling with eating disorders, that are the survivors of sexual trauma and abuse, and to the writers and producers of Hollywood who have no idea of what happens in a women's circle because they've never been in one. May we send them some enlightenment to cross their path. All right, have a great day wherever you are. See ya.